Hi there, my name is Frida from EMCsoft, and today we're going to be talking about Bitrix24 booking tools. And since there are various of these tools, we're going to be talking about them in two separate videos. This is going to be the first part of the video, so stay tuned for the second part. There are 4 different ways to handle booking within Bitrix24. We have internal booking and we have external booking. We're going to go ahead and start with the most simple, straightforward way, and then we're going to work our way up into the more elaborate booking options. So for the first, most simple, straightforward internal booking, we're going to go straight to our calendar section and we're going to directly create an event on that calendar. We're going to go ahead and open the full editor. We will need the full editor for the booking and just put a name to this event. So here we're going to be doing an example of an equipment installation. I've named it solar panel site visit just for the example. So next, as usual, we're going to set the event date and time. Since I already selected it straight from the calendar, it already registered for a particular date and a particular time frame. Of course, you can go ahead and modify this. Also, if it's an all-day meeting or if it's an all-day appointment, well, you can just select this and it will be booked for the entire day. And again, you can also highlight this with high importance or uncheck this so that it is just a regular appointment. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and select the calendar that we want this to be visible on. Since I've selected it from my own calendar, then it already picks my calendar by default. But if you'd like to select the company calendar or any other user's calendar, you can do so here. Here in location, we're going to be skipping this part. Please keep in mind, this isn't actually the location of the external client's address. This is going to be the meeting rooms. And just a brief kind of a summary of what meeting rooms actually are. They're going to be used for offline meetings. This will actually consider each room's availability and capacity when you're making reservations. So there's a whole guide on how to create meeting rooms and how to work with meeting rooms. We're not going to be looking into that today since we want to focus on booking, but I will be leaving a link to a guide that actually takes you step by step on what meeting rooms are, what you can do with them, and how to configure them. Awesome. And now we're going to go ahead and move to the important part of this, which is the attendees. In this case, you can select the internal user, so your internal employee that's within the Bitrix system here. So let's say, for example, there's a couple of people who need to go and actually assist to the equipment installation, a technician and a manager, let's say. So I just added this so that you can see the example, but I'm going to remove this and we're going to leave just one technician who's going to be visiting for the solar panel. And more importantly, we're going to be inviting our guest. So this is going to be our client. And for our example, I've added the email of the client, their first name and their last name. And I also have this client registered in my contacts in the CRM. And that's important and you'll see why. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and click invite here. And once we do that, we'll see that guest here in the attendees as well. Awesome, so we're gonna scroll down, we're gonna hit more. So here we can actually get a notification when when our client confirms or declines the invitation. And don't show attendees to guests. So this is depending on what you want them to see. So if you want them to know which technician is going to be visiting them for their equipment installation, then leave this on. Awesome. So here I've added a small description of what the meeting is going to be about. And I've also added that that registered visitation address. And I've added as well an image of the solar panel example so that the client can review which product they had previously selected for installation. So we're going to scroll down here and of course we can add reminders. So we're not going to go into that too much, and event colors, etc. and availability for that particular technician. So in this case, we will keep it as busy. We can create this as a private event. So the event details would be available only to yourself. And most important, we can add the CRM item here. So this is where we can actually link the contact that we have stored for this client to the event. So if I go here and I select Paula Tinoco, I already have this client selected here. Whoops, I think I have a duplicate. No worries. I'll just add both just in case. But in your case, you would just have one, of course. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and click save here. And the event has been successfully created and the invite should have been sent to that email of the client that we've registered inside of the guest. So let's take a look. Great. So I've received the invitation and I can see preview calendar up here, and I can also see the actual invite, and I can attend or decline. I can also view the meeting details, right? So I can see when the meeting is, the time zone. We're going to go ahead and view the meeting details, and I can see the description that we input there and also the file of that image, right? So I can see that image here. If I go back, I can also expand the description, view the address, right? And then I can attend or decline. So I'm going to go ahead and hit attend. And I can also add to my calendar here if I would want to. Awesome. So once that person actually hits the attend button, you're going to get a notification as well on your side. So you'll be able to see if the guest has actually accepted the invite or declined it. So here we see that notification. And if we click here, we'll be able to see the actual meeting, right? Awesome. We can also open up the contact, and I'll show you what that's going to look like on the contact as well. Okay, so I'm here inside of the contact, and I'll see that as an event as well in the timeline of that contact card here. So very good. Once I have completed the meeting, we can hit the completed button. We can edit from here, the event, etc. Awesome. So that's the first way of using booking internally, very straightforward. So you book for your clients and that booking is sent as a calendar invite to your client's email. Okay, now we're going to move on to the external booking. So we're going to do the open slots, which is going to let your clients actually book a time and day for meeting with you. And we're going to go ahead and head to the open slots up here on the top right corner. So we're going to click this on, and we're going to be able to configure the slots that we want to have available and how much those should last. Very important to notice here that I think there's a small bug on Bitrix24, because sometimes even when you select that 1 hour time frame period, it switches to half an hour for some strange reason, and you'll see what I mean in just a moment. Okay, so here we're going to be able to configure our available slots. Keep in mind you can add other colleagues to these slots as well. So I can add, for example, a colleague here and a colleague here. And I can also set up which days specifically I want those slots to be available. And we're going to do 9 a.m. all the way down to, we'll switch it to 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Very good. So we're going to go ahead and leave that as is. Of course, if you need other time ranges, for example, you can do, okay, you know what, Saturdays as well, but this is going to be a different time range. Saturdays were only open from 11 to 4 o'clock, right? So we can add more as we'd like. Okay, so here you can actually copy the link and send to your client so that they can book the slot. And what that's going to look like, it's going to look like this. If I click here on test meeting, select time slot. So this is what they're going to be able to see. They can switch over the time zone and look for a convenient date and time to book a meeting with you. So for example, here we'll do Monday 20th. So they'll see all those available slots. And then here is what I told you, that there's like a small bug here on Bitrix. We have 9 to 10, 11 to 12. And then we have 11:30, 12:30 for some reason, and then we have 12 to 1, etc. So be careful when using this feature. And what we're going to do, we're going to copy that link and we're going to do a real example over here. Okay, so once I'm here, I'm going to be able to select my time slot as a client, and we'll do the 20th, and we're going to do 11 to 12. Select the time slot. Here we're going to be able to input our first and last name. So I'm going to do Paola Noko, which is our fiction guest. And I'm going to put in my email, meeting topic, place, link, so I can place other things here. I'm going to leave it just as consultation for bug fixing. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and create the meeting. And once I hit that, if I go over into my internal Bitrix, I'll see that there is an event here. Okay, so I can see the event here. I got the notification as well. If I click and decline, it'll actually send out an email to the client that the meeting has been canceled. Okay, I'm gonna open this bad boy so that you can see what it looks like from the inside. I can see the description, I can see the name of the client. Great, so if we go over to the client's view, they can add this event to their calendar by clicking add to calendar. That'll download the pertaining file. And if we click here on video conference, it'll actually take them straight to that meeting room. Of course, the meeting isn't until, a couple days, so there's gonna be nobody there, but this will take them straight into the meeting room. And now let's take a look at what the email is going to look like. So the email is going to come in from Bitrix, okay? So that's one of the downsides that I've found about the open slots, that the email actually comes from Bitrix24 and not your company name. Okay, so you can see the meeting invite here as well, and you can download that. Okay, so that's on open slots, and we're gonna go into CRM booking. Alright, so for the third booking option, this is going to be only an internal option. Okay, so for this internal option, we are going to actually open up a deal card, and I'll show you how to do it from here. So this cannot be used directly on a contact card. This has to be booked through a deal card or a lead card. Okay, so to begin, we are going to hit the create field option, and we're going to create a book of resource field. Once we hit that, then we're going to see this pop up, and we're going to start filling that out. Okay, so I've gone ahead and filled everything out, and I'm going to explain it to you one by one. So first, in the field name, I've named this field Solar Project Visits. Okay, so you can name it as you wish, just something that is indicating that this is the meeting field, right? The appointment setting field. Okay, so here you can either select resources, users, or both. Okay, so I'm going to take you through what each of this means. So for example, in our case, we are a solar panel selling company, and our resource would probably be the service van that's going to take our technician to the appointment, and of course the user would be the technician himself. So basically you would be either booking users or resources or both. Okay, so for example, if your booking is related to an online consultation, then you probably don't need any resources at all, and you just need users, right? You specify which consultant you want to have your consultation with. So for example, if you are setting an appointment for an online consultation, then maybe it's only important that you select a user, right? It's only important to have the actual consultant and not really a resource because it is an online consultation. But let's say, for example, you're a company that gives tennis lessons, then probably you do need both users and resources. Why? Because you will need to select a coach, right? The client probably needs a particular coach, and they also probably need a particular court, which would be the resource. Okay, awesome. So in this case, we actually selected resources and users, so you can see the full example. Okay, awesome. So the resources that I created were Service Van 1, Service Van 2, and 3. You can add more here, right? And also I'm going to add the users. Okay, so here I'm going to add the technicians that are actually going to go on site. Also here you can select date only. So if I select date only, it's not going to actually give me an option to select a particular time zone. Okay, why? Because it's not important what time is selected, but only the date. Okay, so I'm not going to check this because I do want you to see how it looks like being able to select date and time. Also, add services and duration. If I unselect this, it's not going to be important what service it is. So for example, if we only had one particular service for these appointments, let's say we only had the visitation for installment and not maintenance, then this would not be important. But I'm going to check it so that you can see the example. So let's say I have solar installation visits and I also have solar maintenance visits, and each of them have a different duration, right? So I'm specifying this so that you can see that in the example. If you want to respect the user time zone, then just check this box. If you want to have this as a required field, just check that box as well. And this is, in general for any fields. And also the show always button is general for all fields. So if you always want this field to appear in all the deal cards and all the lead cards, then just check it. And also if you want to allow overbooking, and click save. Awesome. So now we have the solar project visits here already selected. Okay, so if I click here, then I'm able to select the date and time when this appointment should take place. Okay, so I'm going to select Tuesday, right? And I'm going to select 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I'm going to select the service it is. So for example, if it's an installation visit or if it's maintenance, so I'll select installation visit, and I'll select the particular technician that's going to be servicing that, right? So I can select here as well, and the resource that's going to be used as well. Okay, so if it's the service van 1, 2, or 3, this way I can have better control of which vans are available for future appointments. Awesome, so I'm gonna go ahead and click save. Awesome, so now we have all the information here, and if I go into Ahmed's calendar, I will be able to see all the pre-training information. So I'll go over on this side, and we'll head over to the calendar section. And here in the calendar, I'm going to go ahead and head over to the 22nd, which is when we booked the actual appointment, 2 o'clock. So it's here in the calendar. If you want to view others' calendars, again, you go to calendars here, add, and then add either user calendar, company calendar, work group calendar, etc. And you'll be able to see that here as well. Awesome. So if I click here on the actual event, I'm going to click open, and I'm going to be able to see which technician is going to be at the meeting. I can see the date and the time and the duration of that meeting. And I can also click here on booking, and I'll be able to see which resources are actually booked to which customer as well. So very convenient in this sense. So this is going to be best, for example, if you're on a phone with a client and you're creating the booking for that client, or if you have an in-office visit for an installment for solar panels or a maintenance booking. So you'll be able to book for the client internally in this sense.